People often assume that dietitians are just more disciplined than the average person, but I really don't think that that's true. I think dietitians have just learned how to make the healthy choices that they want to make easier to implement and stay consistent with. Hey guys, I'm Katie Lovitt, registered dietitian and owner of Nourish and Thrive Nutrition Counseling, and your host here on Nourish and Thriving Show. Welcome. I'm so glad you're here. So I'm going to spill the beans a little bit with you guys tonight, so to say. There's no beans actually here, but I'm spilling them anyways, or spilling the tea, as the younger people say nowadays, about how exactly dietitians are able to do that. So I work to live a healthy lifestyle for myself, for my husband, for my kids, modeling it for them. And also just to have integrity in my work, right? I'm not going to not practice what I preach. I'm going to do what I tell my patients to be doing. And so, I've had to figure out over the years what works for our family, what works for me, what does not. I've had a lot of failures, right? That's how we learn. I've had a lot of things that didn't work, a lot of food that got thrown in the trash because we had the best of intentions at the beginning of the week and then just things fell apart. So that probably sounds like something you've had happen to you before. So tonight I'm going to share some of the hacks, some of the tips, some of the tricks that I use in our own household to help us feed ourselves well, get the sleep we need, get the exercise we need while juggling being a private practice owner, a YouTube show host, a mom of 3 kids, a carpool, whatever you want to call that, carpool ninja, maybe we should say. It's a lot. Life is full. It's not that dietitians are exempt from the fullness of life. I oftentimes feel like a tumbleweed getting kicked on down the road by the wind because life just keeps kind of spinning us down the road. Just know a lot of you guys do. But it's in those times where you're just trying to get by the skin of your teeth that you've got to have these things in place in order to stay consistent. And that is the key to not having to start over every Monday, which I know is exhausting and frustrating for people. So I know that future Katie is tired. I know that current Katie is tired, but I know future Katie is even more tired. And so when I am going about my day, I try to give myself some room in the future. I try to set myself up for success in the coming days, weeks, months, etc. I know in the next few days, I'm going to be busy. I'm going to be tired. I'm going to be distracted. I'm going to have things that come up that we weren't expecting to happen. So I do certain things to help us get set up for success. I'm going to share what those are here in just a minute. So that's really important. So you're going to care for your future self, set your future self up for success. And then the second thing here is reducing friction and increasing friction. Okay. So we're going to increase friction with the things that aren't supporting our health goals, right? We're not going to have the candy dish sitting out on the counter, or the cookies sitting out on the counter. I would go walk by and grab one every time I walked by also, just without even thinking about it. Our candies put away. If we have a snack, we put it on a plate. We're not just grabbing and walking and all of that. The food pretty much stays in the kitchen, the breakfast room, the dining room. We're not taking food into different parts of the house unless it's a special cookout or like movie and pizza night where we're intentionally sitting in front of the television, having some popcorn or pizza or whatever. That's not most nights. Most of the time we are in the kitchen or sitting at a table to eat. And so that's increasing the friction of the mindlessly eating, the grabbing the snack on the way, everywhere. And then we're reducing friction for the things that are, in line with our health goals. So if I'm getting up early to exercise in the morning, I'm going to be laying my workout clothes out in the bathroom, my shoes, my socks, the whole thing, ponytail holder, like everything. I'm going to know what workout I'm going to be doing so that when I get up, I'm having to think about what am I going to wear, find what I need to wear, scroll through and find the workout because I just work out at my house. I'm not having to do all of that stuff because if I have to do any of that, I'm getting back in bed. But if it's literally get dressed with the clothes I laid out the night before, push play on the phone because I know what I'm doing, I'm a lot more likely to follow through with it than otherwise. Another thing that we do is we prepare produce so that it's ready to eat. And I will tell you from personal experience that whenever I do this, it is like 99% more likely to get eaten by my kids, by my husband, by myself, because it's ready to go. So I brought a little bin of some stuff that I'm going to pull out and show you guys. So these are strawberries from my real house and blueberries. I had a thing of bell peppers that I was going to bring also, but my daughter and her friend actually ate all of them yesterday because they were washed and chopped and ready to go, and they ate the blueberries, the bell peppers. So whenever we're unloading our groceries, if I have time, on the weeks I don't have time to do this, because I have those weeks too, y'all. Like I don't always have time to do this, but when I don't, there's a much likelier chance of us throwing stuff away because it didn't get eaten because it's hidden in the fridge and, the produce bags or containers or whatever. Someone else didn't feel like cutting it up and washing it. So they didn't. So whenever we're unloading our groceries, I have a salad spinner. And I just put a sprinkle of baking soda, pour in whatever produce it is with the baking soda, fill it up with water, let it sit while I put other groceries away. And then I go drain it, rinse out the bowl of the salad spinner, and then actually push the salad spinner a few times so that it can dry off. And then I put it in our little container. So I'll do this with any kind of fruit that needs to be washed and chopped. It doesn't like turn brown or something like an apple. I'll do it with carrots, bell peppers, cucumbers, like any of those, veggies that we want to eat raw. We love doing like a hummus plate for lunch, grabbing some fruit with a sandwich for lunches and the kids. But that just makes it so much easier if you're, it's summer right now whenever I'm recording this, so it's not as big of a deal. But during the school year, I'm packing 3 lunches in the mornings, and so just having this produce chopped and ready to go into the lunchbox makes it that much easier. So that's reducing friction. That's an example of that. The other example was, your workout clothes in the morning. Another example is this. I'm going to scoot these over here. This is more of a dinner time hack for reducing friction. So it's dinner time, you're tired, you've had a long day, and you're opening the DoorDash app in your phone and questioning if you want to pay $100 to have a semi-okay, soggy fast food meal delivered to you and your family. But you're so tired and you don't want to think about what's for dinner. This makes it so much easier. It is a meal kit at home. It's a homemade meal kit. I got these little plastic bins from the Container Store, I think. I got a dry erase marker, and I put the ingredients for the meal into this bin. So I brought stuff to show you a couple of different ways I'll do this. So inside of this bin, I have a bell pepper and the Siete chicken fajita seasoning. So we actually did this a couple nights ago, but I did it with ground beef because that was what we had, and my kids loved it. My kids love this stuff. So we do this, maybe an onion. Mine was already cut up and I didn't want to bring it. Some tortillas or chips or whatever you're going to serve, some rice, and I put it all in this bin. For this, I don't really follow a recipe because there's instructions on the back of the seasoning packet. But I put everything that we're going to need for that meal, the shredded cheese, the cilantro, the avocado, the guacamole, whatever, in this bin. And then I write with my dry erase marker on the end of this bin. I would do for this one, CHX for chicken. chicken fajitas. Okay. We're going to write it on the bin. And then this actually slides into our refrigerator. We have a fridge in our garage, and I can fit like 3 of these across on the bottom row. And then whenever it's time to cook your meal, you literally pull out your bin. It's like having a meal kit from HelloFresh or something, and you can just cook. Now, if this was a recipe I was going to use, where I actually needed a recipe, if it was a meal I was going to cook where I needed a recipe, I'm a paper person sometimes. I'm kind of that generation where we're part tech and part paper. I print the recipe. This is actually one of our favorite summer recipes. I actually print it out and I'll stick it in that bin with all those ingredients. So then I'm not rifling through the internet or rifling through a cookbook whenever I'm trying to make dinner to figure out where that blasted recipe was that we're trying to make. So this, I'm going to tell you guys, is from the Kitchen Sanctuary blog. And it is the slow cooked summer beef casserole recipe. If you have a bunch of like stew meat at home that you use up, this is a great way to do it. And we'll serve it on top of rice or polenta or quinoa or roasted potatoes. But it's really easy. And it's really, really good, actually. So make your meal kit, and then whenever it's dinner time, you can just go pick the meal kit that you've already assembled. And it doesn't take really any extra time to do this whenever you're putting your groceries away on the weekend. Because instead of putting it into the pantry or into the fridge, you're just sticking it into this bin. So these stack, you pull them out, you bloom, 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 lay them out, and you just divvy up the ingredients that you need. We'll put garlic powder, we'll put herbs and spices, like whatever it is that we need for the recipe, we'll put in the bin. We don't do like larger containers like milk or something like that where we use it for other things. But if you can get 80 to 90% of the ingredients that you're going to use into one bin, you've already won. You've already made progress. So that's another huge way. So we're making stuff more accessible. We're gathering things, making it more organized, easier to actually use and implement. Say you get stuck at work and, you're getting home late, but your spouse is home. They're not going to be asking you what's for dinner or trying to figure out where all the ingredients are. They know they can just go pull one of these bins out and, the recipe's there, everything is there. So that's another really good way to make this meals more accessible. You're not relying on DoorDash. We actually got, I think it was Chipotle last night. One of my kids was having a sleepover, had a friend over for a sleepover, and so we got Chipotle as a treat. And guys, it's so sad. It was like soggy and gross. It's like, man, it's better whenever you eat there, but whenever you get it to go, I don't think it's as good. Maybe I'm a little bit too much of a food snob with that. But the easier something is, the more likely you are to do it. So love your future self by taking a few extra minutes to prepare a few things, reduce that friction, make things easier to see. And then you'll be more likely to implement it. And then you need some sort of a backup plan too. You need something to help you get back on track if you fall off the wagon. Having some emergency freezer meals, even better, right? Like if you have leftovers, or one time when you have a little extra time, make an extra recipe of something, stick it in, a container, put it in the freezer, and it's like your emergency meal. And then having some convenience foods, quick to prepare foods in your house for those days where it just doesn't happen. It just doesn't happen, and that's okay. You're going to have some Greek yogurt. You're going to have some eggs, some frozen vegetables, maybe even, know of a couple of places where you can go grab some rotisserie chicken from the grocery store. Okay, HEB has rotisserie chicken. I'm going to go run in there. I have some frozen veggies at home, and that's better and cheaper, right, than ordering takeout in those kind of pinchy places where things kind of fall apart. The fruit that we mentioned, having some other easy snacks. It's not about perfect eating all the time and perfectly sticking to the plan and either failing or succeeding. It's just about having the right options and setting yourself up for success as much as you can. It's really not about perfect meals. It's about reducing those barriers and helping you be more consistent. The healthiest version of a habit is often the one that you'll repeat, you'll be able to do. So the healthiest version of a habit isn't necessarily the one that looks the most perfect on paper. It's the one that you're actually going to be doing day in and day out, no matter what this crazy life might throw at you. It has to work on your busiest days too, not just on those perfect days, because those perfect days really don't happen all that often, right? So, I think a good takeaway that everyone can ask is a couple of things. So, first of all, did any of my tips and the things that I've found work for my family resonate with you? Did I share anything and you're like, that's a great idea. I'm going to lay out my workout clothes in the morning and I'm going to actually be able to get out of bed a little bit easier. Or I'm going to do a homemade meal kit or prepping my produce. I'm not the kind of person that has hours and hours to like pre-cook everything. But if you wanted to do that, if you were like, I have a big chunk of time on a Sunday afternoon and I'm going to actually make the rice for the week, I'm going to prepare the proteins for the week, you could even take that a step further and do this meal kit thing. For us, just having the raw ingredients works better. But I know some people, prefer to actually cook on the weekends too. So this is, something you could try with that too. But, think through like, did any of the tips I shared resonate? Would you like to try any of them out? I say give it 2 weeks to really try it and see how it goes, and try to be like an objective observer whenever you're doing this experiment. I don't want you to be too hard on yourself if you feel like you're failing. Just try it, observe what worked, what didn't work, how can you adjust it? That's literally what we do as dietitians all the time, day in and day out with our patients. We're just, okay, what are we working on? Were you able to do it? Yes or no? If not, why not? What needs to get adjusted in the future so you're actually able to take action towards this? And then if you did it, great. Let's keep it in our, toolbox to keep using and be consistent with that. So that's the first thing. Have I shared anything specifically that you can try? And then second, just give it a little bit of thought. What is something that you can do today that will make tomorrow just a little bit easier to be consistent with your health goals? Most people don't need more nutrition information or recipes, right? They're everywhere. You don't just need a meal plan. That doesn't work. You need a system that you can actually implement consistently over time. So hopefully I have helped give you guys some tips and some good things to think about this week. Thank you guys for joining me. If you have not already, please make sure you go subscribe to our channel. If you know somebody who's frazzled or struggling to reduce that friction with the healthy things or just would benefit from hearing this, do us a favor and share it with them. Sharing is caring, right? And then don't forget to give this episode a thumbs up for me. And that's all I've got for you guys today. We'll see you next time.